Hey flower friends, look at this beautifulness. Y'all, I cannot even tell you how many beautiful flowers we have coming out of our garden right now. It is so absolutely stunning that we can hardly stay out of the garden. We spent hours videoing this morning because we have so much beautifulness coming out. So I picked a couple to show to you. So this is one of our cool flowers. This is a rudbeckia. It's called Prairie Sun. It is one of my favorites. Look how bright and showy this is, y'all. And it's just so fabulous. And you could use this great in bouquets, commercial work, landscape plant. It's just one of our very favorite. Oh, I gotta grab a bucket. Wait a minute, y'all. So we are just overcome with beautifulness. And I always feel compelled to share this stuff because you know that I'm an annual farmer, right? I don't grow, we have peonies and hellebores, and that's pretty much the only perennials that we grow. We produce, I built my farm on annuals, and look at this. This is Selway. Celosia is my jam, y'all. And this is Selway Terracotta. Look how gorgeous. Is this not Bobo, who was a flower arranger, could not take her eyeballs off this morning. This Selway, that's one bloom, y'all. That's a bloom right there. It's just amazing, right? And then this is the colors that most people are looking for in summer. These are the colors that you want in your bouquets. Bright. This is Sunday Bright Pink. Is this gorgeous or what? And then, as we're heading into fall, look at this explosion grass. This is what explosion grass should be harvested, even actually a little bit earlier than that, because it very quickly goes to this. And this is what you want to happen in your customer's vase, or whether that's in a bouquet or a commercial customer. This stuff is rocking out in our garden. This has always been a customer favorite. These little, I don't know what you call them. They're iridescent. They're just absolutely fabulous. Y'all, there is so much gorgeousness. And you can still get in, right? There, depending on when your first frost date is, that's what we teach you, is how to figure all that stuff out. Let me put this in a bucket. This stuff is having all this gorgeousness blooming in your fall garden is what Profit is made out of, y'all. All right, back to the point of why I'm here today. Welcome to Ask a Flower Farmer, friends. I just had to show off some of the harvest coming out of the garden. So my name is Lisa Mason Ziegler, if we've never met. I'm the owner and founder of the Gardener's Workshop. Started as a little city flower farm that has grown into a large educational platform and equipment, tools, seeds, and supply platform, as well as just full of lots of resources. And we'd love to have you visit anytime, thegardenersworkshop.com. We have a big website and we have a phone app. And we are always, everything we do it for you. Helping people to empower them to grow cut flowers. And this Ask a Flower Farmer is one such thing. Now, this is where you can ask me questions about anything related to growing flowers and business. And if you have a question, you put it down in the bubble with the question mark in it, because that keeps your questions there. If you put them in the comments, they just move away as people come and go here during the live. So I will do my best to answer your questions. So just be sure you put them in the bubbles down below, as well as, we're heading straight into cool flower planting, planning, and all that stuff. I'll take all those questions, seed starting, whatever you have, I will do my best to try to answer it. And so while we're loading up with some questions, and we will, I'm going to tell you some housekeeping stuff that you don't want to miss out on. And again, be sure you put your questions down in the bubble with the question mark if you want me to see it. So I wanted to let everybody know we are running what's called Christmas in July on our website. It is 20% off pretty much store-wide. There's a few exclusions, but you have to use the promotion code or the coupon code Santa. That would be for tools, seeds, supplies, my books, and you guessed it, courses are also 20% off. The club is not on sale, but all the other courses, the little courses, the big courses, and the schools, everything is through Monday, July 7th, and that is on our big website as well as on the Shop and Show app, my phone app. You can use the Santa promotion code, and to get the discount, you have to apply the coupon as you are checking out. And it's time to think about what supplies and seeds you need for the rest of the season, and that's just a great opportunity. And then two other things, and then I see we're getting some questions in there. I don't know if you've ever attended one of my live shopping shows, and that happens inside my shop app. You can find the apps are free. It's inside your phone app store. Just go in there and search Gardener's Workshop, and it's our shop app that you want. That's where it all happens in there. And we do a live shopping show. Now, why I'm telling you this now is we're not having our regular show on Friday because it's the 4th of July and our team is not working. However, I have two special shows that I'm going to be doing over the weekend. They're not scheduled because I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to do them. And you don't want to miss out on them. But to know when they're going to happen, you need to turn the notifications on once you get our app on your phone. And let me show you how to do that. Oh, I can't do that. I don't have an extra phone sitting here. Sorry. Once you get the phone app on your phone, just go to your account, and one of the options is notifications, and that should be enabled because I'm going to be doing two shows. One of them is going to be all things coxcomb. We have got the most gorgeous coxcomb, and I have every color and variety that I grow, and that's a lot. That's probably about 12 or 13 different ones. I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of each one. So all things coxcomb, and then I'm going to be doing meet cool flowers. As cool flowers are starting to peter out from our plantings, then I've got some I'm going to be showing you and just kind of introducing you to the cool flower concept. And so both of those shows you would need to get by notification to know that I'm actually live. So you need the app. And so check that out. I don't want you to miss it. And what else did I want to tell you? Tonight in the shop and show. So I always do shows normally on Wednesday evening and Fridays. Friday's our big show. Not happening this week. Tonight I'm doing sunflowers. That's why these sunflowers are all here. I'm talking about how to grow them and it's not too late and how you figure all that out. So meet me at 8 p.m. tonight inside the phone app Eastern time, or you can go back and watch the replay, but it's more fun to watch live. And friends, you can shop and apply the 20% off Santa discount. And something most people don't know is that inside our app, when you only order seeds, we pay the shipping. So it's free shipping on seed packet only orders just inside the app. All right, got some questions now, y'all. Let's get to it. Linda, I have planted zinnia seeds mid-May after frost, and they are not growing tall like last year. We had a cold spring and a lot of rain. I planted the seeds in the ground. They were in a bag with mixed fertilizer. So that is one reason that we start from transplants almost exclusively. It's because of how you're at the mercy of the conditions outdoors. Cool spring and lots of rain do not translate into great germination and fast growing. And so I would recommend to you that, we don't direct sow anything out in the garden typically in spring and summer at all. We do some in the fall, but it's just we have much quicker results. We typically have zinnias from planting from transplants by Mother's Day because we plant them April 15th. When I walk out after my frost date, instead of walking out with a pack of seeds, I walk out with a 3-week-old plant. So I'm 3 weeks ahead, right? So you might want to consider that for next time, Linda. And it really is simple. We have all the steps and can help you along that way. We use Indian summer and Irish spring all season long, but I want fall timing for Sahara and Cherokee sunset. Would it work to shear those plants to the ground right now for a fall reflush? So that's a great question. So what she's saying is that in Black-Eyed Susans, Rudbeckias, There are some of them that, well, they all would be perfect to have in the fall, right? And like Sahara, cherry brandy, even chimney, all of them have great fall colors, right? But typically, because we fall plant them, we get them blooming starting in May. You can't, if you keep them cut and keep them weeded and watered and fed, they will continue to bloom. But here's the thing, Rudbeckias are day length sensitive. So you really have to look that up online. What do they require? How many hours a day to bloom? And when does that happen for you? When does that start getting shorter and shorter and it won't happen? One of the tests that we did, it was when we were shooting for the Cut Flower handbook imaging. And we planted we plant so much stuff when we're doing books, right? So I planted them in the fall, and then we planted them in very early spring, but we planted them one time after that. We planted like 6 to 8 weeks after my very early spring planting date, which for me is mid-February. 6 to 8 weeks later, we knew they might not be as tall and voluptuous and abundant as the fall planted, but we got them later. I think we got them into August. I never have gotten them into spring, into fall deep, but I will be honest, we don't try really hard. So that's what I would do. Keep them cut, keep them fed, and then next year I would plant some in May. I'd have transplants to plant in May and see if you can get it. But you need to look up the day length sensitive thing for Rudbeckias. That's a problem with fall, right? Why are some summer annuals that can be planted now? What are some in harvest before mid to late October? So, of course, sunflowers. That's what I'll be talking about tonight. You can come tonight and I tell you how to figure out when you have to stop planting sunflowers. It is all about the whole story, and I would tell you that I would highly recommend my book, The Cut Flower Handbook, because that is part of what the messaging it is in that book is to help every person, no matter where they live, to figure out what their planting windows are. Because it is different for everybody. It is not based on your winter hardiness zone, which is what most people say, I'm in zone 7, what can I plant? Has nothing to do with your zone. It is your frost dates. That's what really dictates all of that. So I can't really tell you that because I don't know your frost dates, and that's a long conversation. But all of that is in the first 30 pages of the Cut Flower Handbook. Has a place for you to write your dates in even. So you're not alone, not everybody, because once you know, you're totally in control of what you can and can't plant and knowing when and what to do, right? So hopefully that helps. Best advice on how to be profitable. It's hard. The margins are tight. Your margins should not be tight. The margins on growing cut flowers, for us, growing annuals, is a pretty big margin. The problem that most people face after being a business person first and then becoming a flower farmer 30 years ago, most people notoriously and repeatedly overspend. They don't charge enough. They don't charge market value for their flowers. And when you put those two things together, they're not profitable. It would be impossible to be profitable. So I would highly recommend Flower Farming School online because it is the down and dirty basics. It's so simple, most people don't even figure out that it works. But you should have good margins on growing cut flowers. But it is, as I mentioned, those reasons that I have seen in counseling people where the profit is lost. But yeah, there is definitely money to be a profitable business. It's hard work, but it's really hard to control overspending because, I mean, we're all garden nuts, right? It's just really hard to control that. So that would be my advice to you. When it comes to cool flowers, I know my planting window is 9/6 to 9/20. Good girl, Fresh Farm. But do I start my seeds 6 to 8 weeks before? That would be this date, and then transplant. So let's go with my dates since I know them by heart and I don't want to have to keep pulling up your thing. So I typically plant, so you plant cool flowers for cool flowers that'll survive your winter, meaning your winter hardiness zone is zone 8, and you're looking at flowers that survive zone 8. So you know that you can fall plant those, right? So if it recommends transplants, which is the lion's share of them, Then if I'm supposed to plant, my first frost is mid-November. So typically mid-September to October 1st is my perfect window to plant cool flowers. That was the perfect window before temperatures started changing. I now actually moved that date 2 weeks closer to my fall frost, right? So I typically plant now October 1st to October 15th. Let's just say I'm talking about snapdragons. If I have to have a boatload of snapdragons October 1st, because they get planted by transplant, yes, you count back the number of weeks from your window of opportunity, however many weeks it takes you to grow that transplant. For me, that's 4 weeks. So I don't even starting snaps until September 1st. So yes, you have to have transplants ready to hit the ground on those dates is the way that works. And I know it is confusing, but that's it. Once you get it, you've got it. Rudbeckia was doing fine in the vase for 4 days, but then wilted after I trimmed the stems. Did I do something wrong? No, Brittany, you did not. So there's all kinds of things that can happen to flowers in vases. If you got it to 4 days, I would say they were conditioned pretty well. Whether they were sitting in the sun or I can't tell you why it wilted. But I will tell you, I don't know which one of the Rudbeckias that was, but Rudbeckia Indian Summer, which is the really big, pretty one. I mean, they're all pretty. The really big yellow one with the brown eye in the center. They have this random wilting issue, but it typically happens within 24 to 48 hours, not 4 days later. It's so weird that NC State actually did a research project on it. Dr. John Dole, who's a good friend, and he is our NC State, he leads the cut flower department, or he did. He's now a dean or something, but they couldn't really figure it out. They did all kinds of studies. I mean, they have labs where they have 50 different stems, and randomly a stem would wilt, and they couldn't figure out what was actually causing it. So maybe that's what happened. But if it only happened once, I would say just chalk it up to who knows what and move on, because it sounds like you did everything right if it lasted 4 days. Does the frosted explosion have to be in water? I'm wondering if mine is short, if I can stick it in my bouquet. Oh yeah, it needs to be in water. It'll wilt for sure. And when you're first learning how to grow flowers, annuals. I mean, annuals are what we grow, almost 3 seasons of annuals. While you're learning the ebb and flow of some specific flowers, sometimes the first time you grow them, your timing is not right, or they weren't the best seedlings, or they sat in the tray too long, or you planted them too early, the soil was cold. All of those things can affect the performance of the plant. And one of the biggest flags they send up is they don't grow very tall. And so our frosted explosion is about this tall, and it needs water, full blasting sun, and we plant transplants. So I don't know what your circumstance were, but that just comes with time. I can remember back when I was first getting started, before Cool Flowers was around, I knew about cool season hardy annuals, and because that's what I launched my flower farm on 30 years ago. Was my first planting was a fall planting of Rudbeckia Indian Summer, Rocket Snapdragons, a Sweet William Dianthus that I can't even remember the name of it. We don't grow it anymore. It's not available, and sweet peas. And I planted all those in the fall. My first try at being a flower farmer. I was barely a gardener. And, I hit it out of the park. They were all just did so great. But then I struggled trying to figure out, that's why that struggle is what really made me focus on the Cut Flower Handbook, what I wanted to be in there. One of the things that I struggled with the most when I first got started is I didn't realize there's 2 kinds of annuals in my world, the way I look at them. There's annuals, right? But we think, when we hear the word annual, we think of what the horticulture world calls annuals, which are typically warm season tender annuals. They just say, oh, you need to plant annuals now, and they're talking about warm season stuff. Well, hello, excuse me, there's more than one kind of annual. So there are cool season hardy annuals. So I didn't realize there was two different kinds. And I was planting cool season annuals. Status is the one that comes to mind first. I was planting it like it was a warm season annual, planting it in like May, and I never got stems taller than this. And I just gave up on it. And then as I started learning about, there's two different types of annuals and they have very different planting times and who goes in which group, I learned that Status is a cool flower. Y'all, I grow Status with stems like this now, no problem. It's fall and very early spring planted. And so learning that really changed. It just tells you when you're supposed to plant stuff, right? I can't recommend enough the Cut Flower Handbook. You can actually comment book here and we'll DM you a link to it. But you can, and 20% off, y'all, that doesn't happen very frequent. And so you can comment book here or you can join me on the show tonight and that will also be available. I notice a lot of soil blocking recipes use green sand. Is there an alternative? We can't get it in Australia. You know, I didn't make that recipe up. That recipe was really created based on science by Elliot Coleman, because green sand is more than just a nutrient. It actually acts like a macro in the soil. It actually helps to deliver moisture and hold moisture. And the closest thing, because in fact, believe it or not, I got to meet Elliot Coleman 2 different times. And it was at a fair that he and I were both speaking at, and we had a booth set up. And he came to my booth, and I was terrified, y'all. It was like meeting Mick Jagger, really. I mean, honest to goodness. And I told him, I said, we just heard that there's going to be, here in the States, that the green sand supply is not going to be anymore. And there was a whole story to go along with that. What are we going to use? And he was perplexed. He said, there really is not a great replacement for that. And he suggested, if you ever listen to Elliot talk, he says, well, you know, kelp might work, but it doesn't really do this. And, you know, something like that. So the only thing I really got out of him that might be a good substitute would be perhaps kelp. And so all you can do is try, right? And I understand because people in the UK have the same struggle as you are in Australia. So sorry I don't have something better for you for that, but green sand is the bomb for it. But you can probably find something. It'll be trial and error because I do not know what that is. All right, wait a minute. I hit the wrong button, y'all. Wait a minute. Let me get the next question. All right. Hey, Lisa, Zone 7A, your neighbor down in Central Virginia. When do I start verbena and how? I've seen it as a perennial here. So I would guess, I don't know what species of verbena you're talking about, but I would guess that it's a cool flower. And we're actually bringing, it's one of the very first flowers. I cannot remember the variety name or even the species name. It's been so long. It's the little purple flower that's really tall on a square stem like Status. It was one of the very first seeds I ever started 30 years ago. And then I got away from it. And it can be a perennial, but we treat it as a hardy annual here on my farm. But I don't know where it's winter hardy to. I don't know if it's winter hardy in 7A or not, but I would treat it as a cool season hardy annual is what I would actually do. And it's not a big flower, but it's a great color and it's pretty prolific. You do not need many of them at all. That's what made me stop growing it. I planted way too much, and then you get so sick of it, you say, I'm never growing that again. It's like bachelor buttons are the same way. It's like you don't need a 10-foot, a 30-foot, or a 100-foot patch of bachelor buttons. 10 feet or less would do most people in if you're selling a lot of flowers at that time of the year. So that's what I would do. I'd start them and have them ready to go into the ground for fall if they're winter hardy. This is a good question. What could be causing green slime on the tops of my soil blocks? The top forms a crust. So the green slime is either algae or mold. And algae and mold can only grow in constant moisture, which means there's too much watering. The blocks are not drying out completely between watering. And so that's the way that plants grow best. So I'll just tell you what the life cycle is. So we water every morning. And I go in and water my blocks in the morning, and the blocks are pretty dry, right? And so I water them thoroughly. Don't have to water them again. My room gets up to 90 degrees. It's just like kind of like being in a greenhouse. I water. And as the day goes on, the blocks are getting drier. The day goes on, the blocks are drying out. Then the evening and nighttime comes, and the blocks are pretty dry. And when they're dry, the roots are getting great oxygen, which is what fuels soil block fast growing action. And then the next morning you water them again, right? Well, when you're doing that cycle, algae and mold can't grow. So they're not drying out. And why aren't they drying out? Most often it's because the air temperature where the plants are growing is not warm, and that's not fueling vegetative growth, which makes the roots grow more, which makes them suck up more water, and helps them to dry out faster. So my recommendation to you would be water once, first thing in the morning. Don't ever leave water standing in the tray. And then you do a test. The next morning, if your blocks are not dry, then you need to tweak your environment. I talk about that in the handbooks too, and there's videos over on our website that they're not drying out, and that's a 24-hour cycle. Oxygen to your roots is as important as water. People tend to overwater, and that's what it sounds like, because algae and mold cannot grow in dry soil. And I have not found that algae or mold harms your seedling. It's what causes algae and mold that harms the seedlings. It actually stunts their growth. So the more you do that, the less your plants are going to grow, which grows more algae and mold. Does that make sense? Hope that helps. So friends, I want to remind you again about the things I told you about earlier. There's no show this Friday. We have a big shopping show on Friday, a live gardening show. It's 4th of July. I gave the team off. So there's no show. However, I'm doing a live show tonight. It's all about sunflowers. Have my suspects lined up here and ready to go. You'll find the show inside my free phone app. Just go to your phone's app store, Gardener's Workshop, search that, download our shop app. We have a learn app, which you're welcome to that too. It's free. Got a free course in there for you if you get it. And show up at 8 p.m. tonight inside the app. And it's fun. People, the live viewers can comment back and forth. And I do the show by myself. These are these small impromptu kind of shows, and they're really kind of fun. So tonight is all about sunflowers. And then if you get the app and turn the notifications on, you'll be notified over this weekend. I'm planning 2 shows that I'm doing. One of them is all things coxcomb. I don't even know how many are over there. I think there's like 13 or 14 different coxcomb varieties and colors that I'm going to be showing and telling why I grow them and what's good and bad about each one. So there's a show going to be all things coxcomb, and then the other show I'm doing is Meet Cool Flowers. It's kind of like an introduction as we're heading into the time when it's time for all of us, no matter where you live, to plan for cool flowers. Some of us will be seed starting for fall planting. Not everybody if you live north, but everybody prepares for cool flowers in the fall, because then the next planting window is 6 to 8 weeks before your last spring frost. So you got to prepare your place now. So there's a lot to learn, right? And remember, Christmas in July is going on at the Gardener's Workshop. .com, our big website. Inside our phone app, you'll be able to apply the coupon code Santa tonight, and every time you on either site through Monday Monday, which is July 7th. And that's tools, seeds, supplies, and our courses. Something I was just sharing with my membership. It's not good. My club is not on sale. The coupon does not apply there. But all of our courses. You may have seen we just came off this big special offer of my school and Dave Dowling's school bundled together for this really big savings. One of the things we kept hearing from people was, well, I already have Lisa's class. I need Dave's class at a discount. And so, friends, that's what we've done. So if you're one of those people that has Dave's class or my class and you want the opposite one's class, they're now 20% off. You just have to use the coupon code SANTA at checkout, and that'll give you 20% off. There are some exclusions. It's not good on previous purchases or gift certificates or on my private club membership. But you can get on my private club membership wait list the next time that it opens. I just did a great I create a master class every month, as well as, I did the sew-in circle. We do that every week together. But I just created the master class for all those people that are having slow summer sales. And I open up the master class in a video, we did it this morning, out in this field full of beautiful cut flowers, saying, if you're growing summer flowers like this, you definitely need summer customers. And this master class was full of some outside of the box thinking of ways to move flowers in the summer, and just some thought-provoking things. So that'll be coming out July 15th inside my private club. So friends, thanks for joining me here today. Remember to think Christmas in July and save 20%. That's good on silage tarps and tools and our hose, insect netting, all these great supplies that just make doing all this stuff so much easier, right? All right, friends, until we meet again, I can't wait to see you tonight at 8 p.m. inside the phone app for All Things Sunflowers. All right, folks, ciao.